Welcome back to the Call of Duty World League Anaheim Open. I am Fox. Today, I'm joined by Dirk, and we're hopping into our second match today on the Bravo stream. Dirk, can you tell us a little bit about this matchup, please? Because we have a group play team facing off against the open bracket team.
And you have an open bracket team going up against a fairly better team, to say the least.
Yeah.
They're going up against the playoff champions in Splyce. Now you come through that open bracket, you sort of sit there like, wow, let's hope we get put into one of the more easier pools. But no, you're facing Splyce directly out of open bracket. It makes you kind of just want to be like, I want to go back to open bracket. I'm scared.
Yeah, these guys are fresh off of a tournament win.
Yeah.
They got to be feeling pretty good right now, especially when you have Mad Cat and Zero playing the way they do. It's scary.
Just this Splyce team has been something where we start to see, we know how great Zero can be, especially against the NA competition, how good he is. He solidified himself as like a top 3 AR with the M4. I put him up in the levels with Octane, Formal, and Arcides, those guys. But you guys are going to see the maps that we are going to be playing here. Number one is going to be Throwback Hardpoint. I think that one's going to be very interesting, especially with the aggressive play style of the likes of Splyce. Then Breakout Search and Destroy will be map number 2. Precinct Uplink is map number 3, and if we have to go to distance 4 and 5, will be a Breakout Hardpoint and Retaliation Search and Destroy.
A lot of people looking at this matchup, though, expect Splyce to come through here with a pretty swift 3-0. But that's always the challenge with these open bracket teams, is that they are the underdog, and they are going against the toughest competition that the Call of Duty World League has to offer. We've already seen the likes of Bittersweet coming from the Call of Duty World League relegation and taking down teams like FaZe, going the distance with Evil Geniuses. So I'm looking forward to see just how things turn out here, although the odds are stacked very heavily onto the side of Splyce.
Oh, they
Dirk,
most definitely.
let's take it away. Let's go.
They most definitely are. We're going to jump on board with Zero, the guy that we highlighted during the game before in the pregame. He's going to be the man to watch with that MV4 in his hand. You see him tagging up the player back there by Lemon. That is actually going to be Hate, and just like that, it's going to be a quick, clean sweep of the players from Lethal Gaming, and right away, Splyce is going to push through to try to get control, get set up for maybe that Barn Hill already. See Zero up here in a sticky situation. Does have the MV4 from close quarters combat. He's going to get tagged up, tagging some shots back. Is he going to be able to finish this off?
Ooh,
and that
nice.
is what makes Zero such a good player, utilizing that movement, getting behind cover as well. Excellent kill there from Zero.
Oh, Zero's not stopping, though. Still punching it, turning the corner, tagging up Juju. As he sits in the corner just on the objective, Hate can get some too, and they're all pouring in from Grandma's, but Zero has it all lined up in red, tagged up by the flechette. Can he still finish the kill? No, just one bullet away. He was actually close to winning that gunfight, but the grenade from Clink is going to be the difference maker.
And off to a hot start is Splyce, score sitting at 26-4 and rising for the side of Lethal Gaming. But now the rotations are going to be coming in. They have one player to worry about here from Lethal. That is going to be Clink. This is a big gunfight. He's able to take out Bance, but one more player challenging from behind. That is going to be Zero, and he's going to be able to take him out there. 2 swift, clean headshots.
Ooh.
Gets the third as well on a 4-kill streak as Clink making his way towards that Trinity Rocket.
Yeah, those are some really clean shots out of Clink. He's just snapping on the opposition that quickly, and he's working himself up into these score streaks. He's going to call the Scarab and nearly kill himself. The enemy finishes him off and gets the points for it, and now we have one final player alive. Actually, no, Juju and Human Jesus stay alive a lot longer than I expected. Splyce is cleared out of the hard point.
Lethal Gaming gets a nice big break coming in there, and it's all thanks to Human Jesus and his team breaking through. He should have a good 2-piece here. He's able to find one. He finds the second there as well. That is going to be Jared and Bance falling down by the hands of Human Jesus. One more player left outside is going to be Juju. He flies in to try to get the player contesting from the side of Splyce. He takes out Bance. Pre-firing around the corner is what he does best. He finds another as well. Juju finds himself 2, trying to go for the third, but got caught in the reload. Now the rotations are coming down here to Train Plat.
He was moments away from being fully streaked out. You know, he was hoping someone could finish that kill before he had to reload. But still, on the side of Lethal Gaming, they actually have a bombardment as well. That's going to be interesting for this hill specifically, and also for the statue hardpoint coming up next. So keep an eye on the side of Lethal Gaming for that. Let's get back into the action on Bike Path right now, though.
Neck and neck is the game so far. Honestly, I'm surprised that Lethal is this close. I mean, they have the lead too, 51-42. It's a small one, but you see Splyce bouncing right back. It's going to be Jerd, the main slayer of the team inside of the hill. Has that K-bar just laying down prone while he has the teammate support. You're going to see the Trinity Rocket come into play. This one's going to be from Human Jesus. He decides to fire one down and hover it, and his teammates are going to pick up a nice 2 kills there as well, getting some pretty good time off of that bike path. They have the rotations ready for baseball, but the good thing is too, Human Jesus has that bombardment ready to go if they do lose control of this, but Lethal is in such a great spot right now.
Yeah, Lethal has one player on the next hardpoint, but they're getting very split spawns. You can see just how separated they are from throughout the map. Until just this very moment, both players ran through Underpass and Blue. Now it's going to be up to Splyce to try and push through Underpass and Bowling if they want any hopes of taking over and getting the better spawns for Baseball Field hardpoint.
Hate's going to be pushing forward that MV4 and Hammer. Going to see more Trinity Rockets coming, but this time it's going to be coming from Zero. Currently sitting at 14-5. Gets a nice 3-piece. He is fully streaked out there as well. So this is a Zero that we know and love. And if anybody's been paying attention to Twitter, you saw the little injury that Zero accidentally ended up with in his right eye. It's not looking good. So if you want to say he's playing with an injury, he's doing a hell of a good job in doing so. Trying to get this final kill here. This will put him at a 4-kill spree as well. Just going to go ahead and decide to back up for Ticket, wait for his teammate to come in support. But we're glorifying Zero and being 16-5 on that 4-kill streak. But Lethal is still doing such an excellent job of holding these past 2 hard points.
You know, for Zero to be going triple positive right now, this score is a lot closer than you would expect from an open bracket team. They're putting up a great fight. Despite the fact that Zero is he should be taking over with a stat line like that, they still have access to the bombardment, and they opted not to use it on this hard point. So that will still be a factor in the coming rotations.
Yep, and Clink did actually get rid of his as well, so that's something to keep in mind. But they got lots of time off that hill, and that's really the big benefit of having it. But Splyce is going to be the first team inside of the hill for the new rotation as we do get going. Hate's going to be able to come in and draw that first blood, but gunfight's going around. Nobody in any position to try to hop inside the hill, but Clink is slowly approaching, just waiting to get a few more kills before he does decide to push forward. And now Splyce is going to be inside. Clink going to be able to take out Jurg, just on the hunt for more. One player pushes, and Bance is going to come out on top of that gunfight.
Both teams trying to position themselves around middle map. This is a very scrappy hard point, so you're going to see both teams having team fight after team fight surrounding the middle trains here. Looks like a lot of the players of Lethal Gaming are going to be covering the bike path here. Bance gets a great kill from behind onto, I think that's Hate there. That should be good for him and to get in that power position and support his team on the objective.
And now if you're Bance, you're sitting here, you're trying to play for your streaks. You know how big they can be too, so just imagine having actually Zero use his bombardment too. But if Bance is going to be able to get these points, now it's 75 off the Trinity Rocket. Just needs to pick up a few kills here. Has a teammate focusing on that side, so he just needs to pay attention to that back barn area. He's going to get the first shot on Clink, but Clink is going to be able to finish him off. And just like that, Splyce takes control, and Juju was the last player left for Lethal. He will be taken out. Splyce in complete control of barn.
So if you take a look, I feel like Splyce coming into complete control here has a lot to do with Jurg's performance. He was double negative up until moments ago, where we now find him on a 4 streak in control of the hard point and calling in his Scarab as he works towards that Trinity Rocket. This is the exact position you want Jurg to be in, because this is where he shines. However, being outnumbered in a spot like that is pretty difficult for any player to win.
And you see the FTL jump come into play there as well, as Lethal tries to take back this hill. Mad Cat gets a big 2-piece to try to open things up here. He's going to be in that back barn area looking through the window. Shots are going to be traded back and forth from both those players, but on top of that gunfight, it is going to be Zero. Jurg hops inside the hill as well. It is just a bloodbath here on barn. Nobody even in any position to rotate, but the spawns now both split on each side of the map, so look for more warfare going down here on the bike path area. Jurg is going to be the first player inside the hill for Splyce.
Yeah, Jurg knows he can't peek around this corner. We have 3 Lethal Gaming players just waiting for him to make that mistake, as you can see. So he has to wait for the rest of Splyce to form up and take over this part of the map with him. Juju being just around this corner alongside another Lethal Gaming player is the biggest threat that they have. He calls on the Scarab for a little bit of support as Clink dies right next to him, but Hate with the NV4, solid positioning and great shots from him to contribute to this play.
Most definitely, both sides split. Getting nice little Scarab action in there to kind of give the signal for your team to push forward and get the enemies outside of the hill. But Lethal does have control right now. Clink doing everything he can to try to stay alive, while Juju is sitting inside of the hill doing that dirty work. But the spawns have split. 2 Splyce players are coming from behind. That is going to be Zero and Jurg to try to get the last few seconds on this one. But one player is going to be positioned over in back baseball. That is going to be Bance, and Splyce looks to be set up for this. We'll do a quick rotation through. There's still a bombardment on the side of Lethal that is going to be used to break this hill 100%, and it's going to be Human Jesus calling this one in. But everything is in Splyce's control, and that bombardment is basically their ticket to get back to baseball.
So Mad Cat and Jurg have definitely stepped it up in the kill column here. They were both double negative at the same time, while Zero was triple positive. And as their KD approaches just that even mark, you can see Splyce finding the lead. So I feel like just the early stages of this map was a very slow start for Splyce, and the players are starting to come online now. That still doesn't help the fact that Lethal Gaming has these score streaks to work with. That's the advantage that Lethal Gaming was able to build for themselves in the beginning, and now Splyce has to fight through it.
They used the bombardment there. They didn't get the cleanest of breaks. They had Bance being a nuisance over in blue, and Jurg is still back here in concessions as well, just trying to wait for his teammate support. He takes out one. Can he find a second? He takes out Human Jesus as well. So make that a 2-piece. Trying to make it a 3-piece. He's not going to be able to take out Clink. He comes out on top of that gunfight, but now we are going to be heading into our 3rd set of hill rotations. Back to train will go in 5 seconds, and the score right neck and neck. Fox, I don't think anybody expected this.
Yeah, Lethal Gaming is putting up an intense fight. Even against the threat that is Zero, they're actually able to maintain this game and keep a decent lead up until this point, where Splyce finally finds himself 10 seconds ahead. But Jerd responds with 2 kills, and that gives his team some decent map positioning and map pressure around middle, and they can just kind of read these spawns from Lethal Gaming.
Yeah, this is where we need to see Zero get into these positions like he did at the very beginning of the game. That is where he's going to be most powerful on that bottom side of the map. But Clink is going to come out on top of that gunfight. He has that reactive armor ready to go, and you see the whole kill feed light up red, signaling that all the players from Splyce have dropped. Now you see the 2-man push starting to come in from this bridge side. Let's see if Splyce is going to be able to break here. Bance is going to be coming through that train tunnel side. He has that active camo ready to go, but look for these payloads to be utilized on that barn hill in case things get ugly for either side.
Yeah, you're not going to want to use it on the middle hard point because it's such a fickle position to be in. It can easily be taken over, especially with how sort of unpredictable the spawns can be at times depending on your positioning. So now once you get over to barn, we do see the Scarab come out. That's going to buy him a little bit of information, some more time for his team to get into position and set up for this.
And you see Bance, he's backtracking with that Scarab. Did push out towards the Lemon, realized that nobody's going to be there, but now it did explode. One player going to be pushing towards the barn, and this is where the push from Lethal Game is going to come. And Mad Cat has his hands full here. There's going to be 2 more players. That's 1 and 3, Hate and Clink, working side by side. Mad Cat gets the view on one player in that back market. Going to decide to back up here, but now does have the teammate support of Zero.
So Lethal Gaming's pushing in 3 versus 4 here. The gunfight coming in from Underpass is the one that's delayed, and of course he's just going to lose it and die by himself. Lethal Gaming is not in a position to take over this hard point. And once they get here, there's going to be about, 15 seconds left maybe, and they're going to have to fight it outnumbered.
Yep, Mad Cat puts a Centurion down as well, but that was just a nice clean break. You see what Lethal was trying to do there, just trying to overwhelm the player in the back, but they didn't know that Zero was there for the support, and it's paying off for Splyce. They should get the last closing seconds of this hill before we do rotate over to the bike path, and they're in a good position to try to close this one out. Streaks have been burned from everybody on Lethal, but still, they have the utility, the Centurion, the active camo, and the reactive armor in the hands of Clink, but Bance has his active camo ready to go as well, and Zero has his reactive, so this is where it's going to be payload warfare.
Take a look at the fight taking place on the bike path right now. Zero is in a great position with that NV4. He has access to the reactive armor if there's a gunfight that he can't win. But being in his power position, the odds are already in his favor. So if he can hold this down for just 16 seconds for Splyce, they will win the game. The Juju camo play comes in. He finds a double kill from it. The rest of Lethal Gaming collapses and capitalizes on that play. And now Splyce is coming up from Grandma's Hill for the next engagement. How will Lethal Gaming respond?
We'll have to see here. Splyce is back in control, not just 14 seconds away, but it is being contested from both sides. It's going to be Human Jesus and Jerd inside of the hill, just each on the opposite of the wall, as you can see through the X-ray there. Jerd has the FTL jump ready to go as well. He gets some shot on Hake, who slides in. He's going to be able to take out Hake, goes for that, and Bance is actually going to get the team kill, but he gets the kill to make up for it as well. It's going to go to baseball, where it could end here for Lethal Gaming. Splyce just 3 points away from taking this one, and they need to watch out for Zero, the man who's has a 36 bomb, pops reactive armor. He's going to be able to take out Hate there, and this should be game over. Splyce should be able to take this. 1 second, and that is going to be it. No other contestant comes in, and just like that, Splyce takes it 250 to 186.
The closing moment right there on the rotation. As soon as I saw Zero get that kill onto the player in Bowling Alley without having to use his reactive armor, I just knew it was over. He was not going to lose the rest of the engagements to get into that anchor position and help his team. And right then and there, Splyce knew that. They capitalized on it. They won the remaining gunfights by popping that reactive armor, and that was just the end of it. Great pick up towards the middle of that game from Splyce.
See, it's almost at a point where you need to get in a situation where you know Zero is going to be in those power positions on bridge and stuff like that. You need to make your main focus him, and you need to have your NV4 player sitting there watching him. Make it your main goal to take him out. He's dropping 36 kills in a game. When he's like that, Splyce will not lose.
Yeah, I think the main thing we want to talk about, though, is the fact that Mad Cat and Jerd really picked it up. You got to wonder what was going on through their minds, but I feel like it was just a very slow start. They're just waking up, one of their first couple of engagements throughout the day in Call of Duty. So you got to give them a little bit of a break. I don't think that that's telling of any sort of a weakness on the side of Splyce. And I think that from here on out throughout the series, we should expect consistent quality gameplay from these players.
Next, the map is going to be a breakout search and destroy. Now, with a lot of these amateur teams, we always feel like as casters and people just watching, Search and Destroy is always the game mode that they could take from these professional teams. The reason why, you ask, is because a lot of these players who come up from the open bracket or are competing for the first time started with Search and Destroy. I mean, a lot like any pro player. They all started with the S&D community and built up from that way as well. And Lethal, we saw last year, I think Juju is the player I want to highlight. The guy who always threw the curveballs when it came to like the Ban and Protect, which is really how he got his name and stuff like that as well. But their Search and Destroy play was always stellar.
Yeah, the main thing as well is that the players on Splyce, they don't play against, they get automatic seeding, like good seeding in these 2K tournaments, so they don't have to play against a lot of these amateur players. Aside from the fact that these two teams are from totally different regions, even if they were, they don't encounter gameplay like this. So there are going to be different strategies, different habits they might not be used to. And also, if Lethal Gaming did their homework, maybe they might know some of Splyce's strategies.
See, that's
right?
the thing still, we bring it up all weekend. Breakout Search and Destroy is still one of those maps that people really haven't mastered yet. No one really has these big set strategies that they're going to use to completely knock the other team off. That's the good thing about this. This is like a level playing field for both teams. Obviously, Splyce probably has more experience playing on this map than Lethal does as well. I still think this is going to be a hot 3-0 in favor of Splyce. Like I said, if anything, Lethal, this is a map that they can take. Yeah. But that middle map presence with Zero, we're going to keep highlighting him over and over again just because he's the main AR. He's the guy who's going to be putting up these big numbers, holding down those line of sights with that MV4. He's the player to highlight for me. Middle map control is absolutely huge on Breakout Search and Destroy.
And you know, the problem is that they have to worry about is taking care of Zero, right? Just handling. It sounds so simple. Oh, just focusing with your MV4 player. It's not that easy, and that's why Zero is such a threat and such a great talent to the European Call of Duty region. He's such a difficult player to take care of.
Yeah, I mean, he has a great support system around him as well.
Oh,
I mean, let's not count that.
The supporting cast
is
amazing.
The strongest European team that we've probably seen in Call of Duty history. I mean, if you go back and you backtrack to, I mean, Black Ops 2 with how good those guys were, like Jared, Mad Cat, and all them, it'd be an absolute dream team. I mean, they're great now, one of the top teams in the world. Obviously, that playoff finish, getting first place, solidified them. They said that they called out European teams saying, you guys need to practice more. You can do it. We got it, and we did this. It's the same thing, right? They're going toe-to-toe with NA teams here. They haven't had a rough event, but from what our standard, we thought maybe, hey, they should easily probably just go 3-0 in this group and continue dominating. They lost one game, but that's nothing to really write them off for.
And you mentioned the speech from Mad Cat at the end of their victory. That Mad Cat's such a character. We got to watch him throughout this series here. He started to pick it up in that hard point, but I want to start things off with him and see what he does in this Search and Destroy. He's got to be one of my favorite personalities to keep track of in the European scene. He's such an entertaining guy, very vocal, very blunt, and just straightforward with what he's saying. But the action's picking up here on middle map as Bance opens up against Clink.
See, now you're going to see why it's so easy if you just go straight to A, how hard it's going to be to get out of there. If this player 8, Jerd, comes and gets his kill on Human Jesus, they're going to be completely pinned in because you have Bance in the middle map area too. That's why it's so hard to give out that middle map control. You're going to see Bance go in there and get the entry kill on Juju. Still 2 players left alive, actually, Human Jesus and Hate. Human Jesus falls. Now Hate is going to be left last alive here with a bomb in hand. You're going to see the collapse of the yellow arrows, but the timing might be perfect if he tries to go over towards B. He's going to find 1 kill there on Jerd. He's going to find it on Zero. No way he's going to win that gunfight, and first round goes to Splyce.
Yeah, right there. Bance catching, I believe it was Juju, off guard in the showers there. Just as he turned the corner to check the other doorway, Bance slips by with the ERAD, tags him up, and slips right out, just taking a few shots in the back, but nothing major. So just great aggressive play by Bance, just thinking very quickly and thinking on his feet to get in and get out.
Like we said, that's a defensive strategy you're going to see a lot from these teams. They're going to send at least 1 player straight to that middle hut area with an ERAT to try to get those first kills, and it completely opened everything up for Bance. He was able to pick up 3 kills in that round, puts him 150 off of that Scarab, and he's making great progress towards that active camo as well. So you see the push coming now. There's going to be 3 players over towards his loading dock side, and Bance is going to be in the middle map, but Jerd is going to draw first blood on Juju, and the team support is going to be in there. Zero takes out Clink.
Ooh, they are getting whitewashed so far in this Search and Destroy. Both of these rounds open up with kills going in favor of Splyce with no one responding or being ready to trade. So you got to wonder, is that going to change? Hate in a power position finds an awesome double kill, but it's not going to be enough with how outnumbered he is. Lethal Gaming needs to start responding with trades earlier on in these rounds if they want any hope of beating Splyce.
You see Hate, he had himself in a sticky situation there. He had 2 Splyce players pushing him. It's Mad Cat and Jerd. 2 people you don't want to see when you're in a 1 versus 2. Now they are down 0-2 here in Search and Destroy Breakout. See everybody 0-2 on the side of Lethal, but Hate doing everything he can to keep his team in the game early on. It's going to be the bomb carrier as well. So let's stay on board here for the offensive round. Let's see what they're going to do. They flow the flechette out towards that middle map area, playing the middle of the map. See, now we're going to keep on saying it throughout the Search and Destroy. It's one of the main things to hold. The A site is completely wide open, so this bomb can go down. But now you see on the minimap, the pinch is starting to come in from Splyce.
This is a gift to Lethal Gaming right now, as this bomb plant that Splyce just let them have. So now they're going to be wrapping around from helipad and also from mid-map for a pinch here. They lose one player in the process. So Mad Cat knows he can't continue on that path. They're going to see that play coming, and they're going to take him down and be a waste of a life. He instead goes towards middle map with Bance to try and make the play onto this site.
And they get the call that Hate was one shot, but now his health has regen, but the double push is coming in from Splyce. He flies around the corner of the K-bar. He finds one. That one's going to be on Bance. Spots another player in showers, but Zero's going to come up from the lower wall to take him out, and Mad Cat gets the final kill there as well. Diffuse is going to be going to Mad Cat, making no scarab for this one, just trying to make his way towards that Trinity rocket as well. And Fox, you want to remind the people, the most recent patch, why that Diffuse does not go to that payload.
So right there, you guys might have noticed, well, in the first day of the tournament, you might have noticed some players jumping off of the map at the end. If it were a 2 versus 0 situation, someone had to get the defuse. There was a little issue where some players were getting points towards their payloads as well as that bonus point towards a score streak. So that was actually patched out. So there's no reason to now jump off of the map and let your teammate get that last man standing defuse. I believe it's called Hero is the medal that you're given when you do that.
So now it's 3-0 in favor of Splyce, looking ever so dominant. But let's see what Lethal Gaming is going to be able to do on defense here. We're seeing a 4-man stack on the B site, something very unorthodox. You don't see it very much unless they go for a complete overextend, which is what they are going to be doing. But that A site is completely wide open. One player is going to be watching a flank. That's going to be Zero. He's in a nice position there with the MV4. He's able to tag a player up, but no kills to show for it. Now he might get caught with his back turned, but the nice slide movement coming in there through the hallway gets out with his life as well, but now has teammate support there, and that is going to be Bance watching over top.
And see right there, just the movement from Zero. It doesn't seem like much, but just he knew just how much time he had to get away from that play, and now he's able to stay alive and fight on the site with his team, rather than getting caught out alone. Big team kill coming in from Clink onto Hate. That's really going to upset this retake, as Splyce is going to maintain their dominant control of the wall run area. Juju looks to make the difference, but being outnumbered and outpositioned by the Splyce players, you're not beating them in that situation.
And you saw the play call there, what they were trying to do. Like we said, you never see a 4-man snack on B unless they plan on overextending and trying to go for a pinch. They almost got Zero, but thanks to his great movement, he was able to slide right through, make sure he has Bance watching over top of him, and that's basically where the entire setup for Lethal on that defensive side kind of just collapsed and went right into Splyce's favor. Now they find themselves up 4 rounds to 0. Let's see how this one does go. Bomb is going to be in the hands of Hate again. And if you're on the side of Lethal, it goes without saying you need human Jesus to get out of the donut shop and pick up a kill.
Several players from Lethal Gaming trying to set up around middle. You got to wonder if he's going to check this corner to his left here. Just as he puts his gun down, both players not really seeing too much of that action. Bance finds the kill, though. Moving over towards Showers. Someone's got to account for this player. There's the trade, finally. But one man took down 2, and now Clink's position has been given away. So it's Clink and Hate versus 3 of Splyce's players on middle map. They're trapped.
They definitely are. It looks like Hate might drop. A nice movement to get around that corner. Clink gets some shots on a player. Hate jumps around the corner. He's able to take out Jerb, but immediately the trades are going to be there. But just from watching this game, it's Splyce. You can see the confidence they're playing with. They get shot in the back. You see Bance. He goes right back to challenge that gunfight. You can see the different level of confidence. It's like Lethal's playing a little scared, not sure what they should do. But Splyce, like, we don't care. We're just going to challenge no matter what you do. We're one shot. We're still going to peek out and try to get you.
These first bloods are just going unpunished, too, Dirk. I mean, Lethal Gaming just isn't trading out in the early stages of these rounds, and it's happening during their opening execution. So you got to wonder who is watching what, who's not communicating what, and why are they just falling apart right now in this search and destroy. Splyce, though, definitely coming to life, showing us what a championship caliber team looks like against teams coming from the open bracket.
So first blood is going to be split. The trades are there, but now another player drops on the side of Lethal. That is going to be Juju, but now it's going to be Zero left last alive. They can finally get around on the board in Lethal Gaming, and they do just that. We're going to see a full sale. We're going to see 6 rounds in a row to take this one from Lethal. It's going to be a
not quite the same prestige as full sale.
Very, very, very tall task to do against the champion Splyce. But let's see. It all starts with just 1 round, and you can try to build off of that to try to climb Mount Everest. Let's see what they're going to be able to do here.
This Splyce roster, any matchup against them is definitely a tall mountain to climb, especially when you shove yourself into this this deficit of 1 to 5 in a search and destroy when you already lost first map. You know, it looks like their series life is close to an end here, as Splyce should definitely have the tools behind them to put this series away. Payload should be coming online for them here soon, but when you're spending all game dying, like Human Jesus, like Juju, you're not going to be even close, and they're about to end this game. Camo play coming in. Bance knows that he can jump out in the open, and he's just behind 3 Lethal Gaming players. They have no idea. Free kill right there. He bobs and weaves and dives back because he knows he's going to lose that engagement.
Yep, another player does drop as well. So now it's a 2 versus 2. Juju and Hate going up against Bance and Zero. Players from Splyce still have Bance just right around the area here in the medical bay. See what he's going to be able to do. That bomb looks like it is going down now from Hate. So the bomb is down. Now time is working against the players from Splyce. He did get the call. They're going to that back garage area. And you see Zero and Bance. They're in an awkward position because the bomb is planted towards that back garage site. So you have no option but to get aggressive. And this is where Bance is at his best. He gets up forward. Zero is watching right over top him with that MV4. Now one player left alive. That is going to be Juju. Let's see how he plays this one out. Has the K-bar in his back pocket. Saw one player push in towards that garage. And Zero is going to get the cleanup kill here. And Splyce is going to go up 2-0.
Yeah, Splyce just making it look easy here. It was really nothing crazy tactically that was going on. It was just them getting first bloods, not allowing Lethal Gaming to trade. Either that or Lethal Gaming just wasn't looking to trade as well as they should have, and they just outclassed them. Easy 6-1 victory. And we move on to map 3 with this matchup.
A very rough road for Lethal Gaming in that search and destroy. But now the question is, how are they going to bounce back in the uplink? One game that we always talk about where chemistry needs to be at an all-time high.
Yeah.
As well as your slaying. It all starts with getting those initial kills and then throwing that drone out and then making progress like that. I mean, if the slaying goes anything like we've seen from Splyce in that hard point especially, which was it was actually pretty close. I mean, we give credit to Lethal Gaming. It wasn't like a complete blowout from what we thought it was. It was neck and neck the entirety of the game as well. But guys, when we come back, we're going to have map number 3. This could be it for the series if Splyce does win, but Lethal doing everything they can to get to a good start off here in pool play. But we'll be right back.
Hello and welcome back to the Call of Duty World League Anaheim Open. I'm Fox. I'm joined here by Dirk, and we're hopping into Game 3 between Splyce and Lethal Gaming. Splyce is coming off of that hot 6-1 victory that looked like probably their easiest S&D so far this tournament, that kind of ran straight through Lethal Gaming, and there wasn't a whole lot of competition there. But Dirk, in the hardpoint, we did see a little bit of shine from the side of Clink and Human Jesus from time to time. So maybe in this respawn they could put up a bit more of a fight.
Yeah, it just came down to they had a tough time breaking the Splyce setups. That was one of the biggest things. I think they successfully got those breaks in when they started to get those three-man pushes coming in. I'm just going to highlight back barn. Yeah. That's where they got a majority of their breaks from. But once Splyce adapted to that, okay, we can't leave Mad Cat here by himself. Let's bring Zero from the back. Right. That's when Lethal was like, okay, now what do? We have to deal with one of the best MV4s in the game, and we have to deal with a Slayer like Mad Cat as well.
And so in that hard point, I think a lot of the stuff that we saw as well was a little bit of a mess up of coordination between the teams. Sometimes they would push and be a little staggered. Someone would come a little bit late, and I think that that's just something that's very telling of a lot of open bracket teams that just don't have that experience and that, I'm trying to find the word, not patience, but it's the obedience that professional players do, especially a championship caliber team like Splyce. They're coming off of their victory of Stage 1 playoffs, so this is a big challenge in the face of Lethal Gaming. And if you're a Lethal fan at home, you got to be rooting for the guys to try and come back for a reverse sweep, but it's going to be one of the most difficult things you could ask of them to do in this tournament.
It's one of the things, too, is it shows how valuable streaks can be, because we saw Lethal a lot of the times. They were able to get those clean breaks when they had those streaks to utilize with the Trinity Rocket and the Bombardment. The Scarabs didn't really do much for them. I mean, they're going to be that big of a game changer. If anything, it's going to help you lead a push and weak the player, so you can just go in there and get the player that's one shot as well. But that's where they started struggling. Once they utilized all those streaks and they were gone, that's when you start to see Splyce really start to pull away with it. And then once Splyce got those original setups and there was no streaks or anything, it was game over.
And we got to talk about Zero, who was just taking over. Even when Splyce was losing, this man was triple positive. When you're going against someone that can put up those kind of numbers in any kind of situation, that's terrifying. And that's also just the great thing about Zero. He matches up so well internationally. He's such a scary player to be paired up against, and he's just a monster.
It was just a picture-perfect game. I mean, when you have a caliber team like Splyce playing a team like Lethal coming fresh out of the open bracket, all those players are going to shine too. But it was just the kill comm just being stacked with Zero. That's why we keep talking about him so much. But just in general, it was a great all-around team performance. They were just able to, like we said, that's the thing with these veteran teams. They're able to make these on-the-fly just changes once they start realizing, okay, the only reason they're breaking us right now is because 3 of them are pushing us. Let's add another man in the back to try to slow it down. Once they started doing that every single time down the road, the only thing they really struggled with was on that bike path hill. There was a lot of contestation time between both teams. I don't feel like anybody really dominated that. You mostly saw, I think it was like Human Jesus and Jerd just side by side there. Okay. That's when the Scarab plays can come in and really start to benefit your team, but you have to worry about the players who are watching the line of sight from far away as well, too. So it was just a picture-perfect game from Splyce. I mean, from Lethal was as well, but once that utility started going and then Splyce made those changes, Lethal sort of like got scared and like, okay, now what do we do? Where do we attack from? Because there was a time where they left Bant sitting over in blue by himself for quite some time when they could have had a nice clean break there, but they just couldn't get him out of there. And that's a big reason that Splyce ended up taking that game over on that baseball field as well. But now we are heading into Precinct Uplink.
I just gotta wonder, like, what's going through Lethal Gaming's mind right now? First off, when you sit down across from Zero and across from all of the Splyce players, I keep highlighting Zero just because of that hardpoint performance, but all these Splyce guys, your confidence is out of the window. I don't care how well you did in the open bracket. I don't care how great your practice was coming into this tournament. You gotta understand that everything you worked on is about to be challenged by these 4 European players. So, getting into this uplink, the first 30 seconds, a lot of the kills go in favor of Lethal Gaming. However, not much progress has been made with the drone here, as Splyce is now trying to respond.
Yep, the drone was thrown out from the side of Lethal Gaming, but they weren't able to make any sort of progress with it. Now Zero is going to throw that drone down just to try to get some kills before they do make this final push over towards this ticket side, and Zero is going to be able to find one, and Mad Cat finds one of his own as well. So now this is where Zero is great. Get him pushed up into the enemy base and get him to slay out with that K-bar in hand. You see 2 players going straight towards that orange tarp. He's going to be able to find one. He finds the second. There should be a score coming in here, at least a 1. We'll see what Jerd decides to go with. Just running back and forth, just trying to kill some time, and his teammate is going to be there. Bance goes in for it. The bounce pass off the wall goes right into Bance's hands, and the 2-point play goes in.
All right, and Jerd moving down middle map to try and kill these players up off spawn. They can't even get out of the gas station. They just put their money in. They can't even get their gas, and Jerd's just running straight down the street to take them out. They're going to try and score again here. Mad Cat finds a kill on the Human Jesus. The drone is in the portal. That's another 2 points on the board. And Lethal Gaming has just been playing off their back foot. Up until this point, though, we see 3 kills go in favor of them, and they're moving the drone. It's all depending on how how they respond to Splyce coming off the spawn.
And they're finally able to get a 1-point toss off, and you can thank Clink for that entire thing. Starting, he was able to pick up a big entry two-piece, and that completely opened everything up for the side of Lethal. But now the 3-man hit is coming in from Splyce in elbow. They spot one in top ticket. Bance is going to be able to take both players out there. Still one more challenging over towards Statue, but his teammate support is going to come in there from Mad Cat. Now Zero trying to run that drone through once more. It's crucial to get these powerful payloads in the drone in hand to try to get these dunks in as well. And another dunk goes in for Splyce, and we just passed the 3-minute mark, but now 4 are going to be down. So now this gives Lethal a little bit more time to breathe, trying to get set up and get these opening kills before getting the drone.
Guys, we are watching one of the best uplink teams in the European Call of Duty World League, as well as just being one of the best teams in the Call of Duty World League internationally, going up against an open bracket team. They are one map away from closing out this series. Do not expect them to let up on the gas. This is going to be the toughest fight Lethal Gaming has had this tournament, and of course you can expect Splyce to produce that consistently. We do see 2 points go on the board though. Mad Cat follows it up with a 2-piece. He still has to clear Clink out of his base, but it looks like the play call is actually just going to be to wrap towards mid and protect that drone. So Clink is pretty free to do what he wants right here.
It was Juju being a nuisance there. That's why Lethal was able to get that dunk, and you're seeing the pass feature utilized a lot more here at this event more than others, and that's exactly what you want to see. But now Human Jesus is wrapping that drone back, trying to get the teammate support, but it looks like he's just going to go ahead and try for the toss on the 1, but he's not going to get that. He will be shut down by Jerd, and now it is time for Splyce's counterattack, pushing through this gas station side. They have Mad Cat in the base ready to slay out. He's going to go to spot 1. That's going to be Hate. One more player going to be right there. Some shaky shots coming in, which is going to lead to him falling there in that 1 versus 2. Now Zero is going to be left last alive. He tosses that drone down just to get his gun out, but Clink, he's on a rampage. He takes out his own teammate as well as 2 Splyce players, and just like that, they are on the attack.
Drone moving up through middle map into the face of some yellow. Not exactly the situation you want to be in. As you can see, Bance and Mad Cat, thank you very much. You're going to take those free, easy kills. And Bance finds a second one. So this drone's going to have a pretty free path through glass here as long as he stays near his escort players just inside of it. The interception, though, that's a big play right there to try and keep this deficit a little lower. Doesn't matter, though. Still results in a 1-point play. Splyce still leading this game and now by 4 points.
Yep, and Bance has been the player who's been doing so much here for Splyce. He's had so many big entry 2-pieces, and he's continuing his dominance. This is the thing about Splyce that's scary. Any of these players can go off at any given time, and right now it's Bance doing everything he can. The drone is tossed, and he's able to get the 1-point shot off well, sitting at 13 and 10. 3 scores to his name as well. More players trying to flood in through this hallway, and that is going to be Human Jesus coming out on top of that gunfight, but now they are attacking through construction, which is like their go-to. They've been doing it almost every single time. The 1-point toss is going to come in. The follow drone is in effect, but it is just going to be overthrown, bounces off that back wall, and the reset is going to come in from Splyce.
Kills coming in from Lethal Gaming, though. So now they just have to fight Splyce off of their spawn. They do have the opportunity to move this drone, but it's not going to get very far depending on how Splyce plays this. They all wrap back to their base, trying to get some control of this portal and set up for an interception, but with so many Lethal Gaming players being just around the corner, that's a tough fight to win. As you can see, Jerd is not able to get those kills until after they score. So Lethal Gaming, they're still in this game. 10 seconds remain here. Splyce is hoping to answer back and score before the half ends.
Yep, just down by 3. Another 1-point toss comes in, so both these teams just trading scores back and forth. As soon as one team scores, the attack is right back on from the base. But the final score at halftime here is going to be a high-scoring one, 9-5 in favor of Splyce.
All right, so let me paint the picture here for Lethal Gaming. If they don't step it up right now and all of a sudden become a better uplink team than Splyce, at least for the next 5 minutes, then this series is over. They absolutely have to just somehow shut down these players. And I can't imagine a scenario where that happens. It's going to be a really tough fight. And if they can do it, they're going to prove a lot to the people that are watching.
Yeah, we have to give credit to Juju. He's that player being the nuisance in the enemy base, and he's been the reason they've been able to get at least 2 of the dunks that they do have in. He's going to be the drone carrier. He's the guy that we are watching. He has it right now in elbow, has 1 player there for support. That is going to be Human Jesus, but he's about to be flooded by players from Splyce. The FTL jump comes in from Mad Cat. He's going to be able to pick up 1 there as well. Actually, sorry, he just got the nice boost off the wall there, but Mad Cat was able to pick up the kill. Jerd tosses that drone, and it is going to be in for another 1-point play. So now Lethal Gaming is down by 5.
Yikes. Yeah, that's a scary scoreline to be looking at if you're trying to stay alive in the series. And now we see Splyce setting up to make another offensive play. They know where Lethal's coming from. 3 players for it, pouring in, make it 4 just around the corner into pre-aimed guns. Another team kill. How many team kills have we seen in these respawn game modes from Lethal Gaming?
It's been mostly Clink been doing a lot of the work of slaying out his own team. Needs to try to focus up and take out the players from Splyce. Clink is going to be able to find there to just halt that Splyce push. Now he does have that drone in hand as well. He's going going to toss it forward for yardage, but it bounces off the statue and comes right back towards them. Bance is going to be able to pick up one, not going to be able to find a two-piece there. It's going to be Juju shutting that one down, but now Lethal needs to try to string something together. We saw the spawn trap that Splyce got going, pushing towards this ticket side and then slaying them out, and they couldn't get them out of gas station. This is where Lethal, they need to try in some way to replicate exactly that, and now they have the teammate support. Clint goes ahead and throws that one up. Should he be able to get it? Somebody should be there to throw this one in, and it's going to be that human Jesus gets a nice two-point play.
And Jared, again, clearing out the base after the score. Splyce only has 3 points of a lead to work with. So Lethal Gaming definitely put themselves right back into this game compared to how it started out. They have 3 minutes to score at least 3 points and try and keep Splyce from scoring and force the overtime or, score 4 and win. But with Splyce having another possession here, finding 2 kills and the drone carrier being this close to the portal and what looks like a free dunk, that's going to be really difficult to stop.
You saw him try to go for the body block feature there, getting inside of the goal, but Jared is now heating up. I mean, been heating up on a 7-kill spree, 25 off that bombardment. Does have that Trinity Rocket and Scarab ready to go as well. He slides inside. Is he going to be able to pick up the kill? No. So he just falls short of that bombardment, but does have the Trinity Rockets to go as well. Clink now going to toss that drone all the way out towards Statue. Has one teammate coming around. This is going to be Human Jesus with the MV4 in hand. He's in the position that you really want Human Jesus to be in. Watching over in this top ticket, playing his range and line of sight with the MV4. But now the Trinity Rocket's going to come in, and it's going to be able to take him out. A clean sweep of the players from Lethal, 4 dead. And now Splyce is taking their time picking up this drone. 2 minutes and 20 seconds left here in the second half.
Fans behind enemy lines, making a difference here with that kill onto Juju. And another one onto Human Jesus. The rest of the team is cleared out as well. Splyce is not stopping. Only 1 player remains, but they should be able to make short work of him and put another dunk on the board. This is why this team is so dangerous. They just don't waste opportunities in this game mode.
And this is where you can see the experience coming into play, right? You see the spawn traps that Splyce has been able to get on that first half as well as the second half now. You see Mad Cat utilizing that cover there, has that overdrive ready to go, but the drone is thrown back inside. All players from Lethal spawning exactly onto their base, and Jared is going to be the drone carrier once more. He's been a big reason they've been able to just pass that drone around, and look at this. He's been doing it all. He's been getting the beatdowns. He's been getting the slays as well, and Jared continues to go off currently 30 and 17 and throws it in just for the 1-point play there to be safe. Score is 15-7. This one is all but over for the side of Lethal Gaming.
This is not a series you want to wake up to. These guys got them playing in the open bracket, playing against mostly North American teams that are coming all the way out here to Anaheim, California to compete, and then all of a sudden they're seated across 2 UK players, and I believe Jared is from Ireland, that just won a tournament. It's like, oh, this is a very noticeable increase in difficulty. That's great. And you can see it in the score here. 1 minute remaining, a 7-point differential. Lethal Gaming has to hit 2 gas pedals if they really want to come back in this game.
Yeah, it's just one of the biggest things. Against a team like Splyce, you have to make sure that you just outslay them. It's sort of like when you play a team like Optic Game. If you're not winning in the slaying, you're most likely not going to win that game. And that's exactly what Lethal is going to do. But like we said, we say it like it's so easy to do, but it's so hard to really try to outslay everybody on Splyce. Like we said, everybody in this team capable of dropping big numbers. And this time, Jared's time around, 31 kills for him in this, and he's not stopping with 35 seconds left to go. Bance is going to go ahead and rock that active camo. He's going to get the dunk in, plus the beatdown, and that's just adding a cherry on top of the Splyce Sunday to go into this one. They will be taking the win over Lethal Gaming, and it's going to be Lethal Gaming falling 0-1 to start off pool play. But I mean, if you're Lethal, you really can't hang your heads against this. You're going against one of the top Call of Duty teams in the world, and you lose this one, where relatively close on the hard point, Search and Destroy was ugly. This was close for a while, but once Splyce started getting into their groove of getting everything set up, that's where it started going down south.
And for the fans at home that might be newer to the professional Call of Duty scene, this is sort of like a good glimpse as to what the difference can be between the top teams and teams that are trying to, break into that pro scene. You can really see that there's still a lot of work to be done, and that there is a large skill gap between these guys. I mean, nearly doubling their score, punishing them in that Search and Destroy for every single mistake. Splyce was just not letting up.
They definitely were. And like we said, once that foot is on the gas pedal, it doesn't let off. They just keep going no matter what. But it was such a close game, but you just can't. It shows how punishing it can be when players get that spawn trap set. The game's just completely over. Once that, you just find yourself, usually teams give up maybe 1 or 2 scores in that, but if they're dunks every single time, that's going to be 4 points added on to what their score was already. We saw it on that first side where they were attacking from the gas station. They were able to pin Lethal in there for at least 2 scores. Then going around on this side, they were pushed straight up to where they were spawning over by gas, and they were able to shut them down every single time as well. Picture-perfect uplink play by Splyce. Lethal looked like they might have a chance to stay in the game, but once they started getting, like I said, those spawn traps going, they didn't really need to even utilize the payloads.
Yeah, so let's review a little bit more to that series. It was very quick. Splyce definitely made short work of Lethal Gaming, but in the hard point, I think that this is where they put up a decent fight up until you see that massive difference in the Barnhill. That mainly came towards the middle to later stages of the game, where we started to see Jerd and Mad Cat come online, and you can look at the player matchup comparison here at the bottom, and it is Zero, who was nearly triple positive that entire game. It only had 29 seconds in the hill, but that's because he was too busy killing the entirety of Lethal Gaming single-handedly.
Yeah, and we look at bike path. We brought it up too. That hill was contested so much. I mean, separating them was 55 to 46. That was such a big separation there. We brought up there was just so much time contested. Now, here's the barn one. I feel like a Lethal Gaming on that first rotation, that's where they got a majority of their time on this hill. But ever since then, when Splyce made those adjustments, 109 seconds in the money hill, that's going to be hard to overcome that. But like I said, it's those on-the-fly adjustments from a team like Splyce that they will make middle game, and it won't phase them at all.
Yeah, that's also good for them to have someone like Zero who can at least keep them into the game until those players really come online. Definitely a big asset to have. And shout out to Jordan Mad Cat for really stepping it up and not dropping the map in this series. Splyce is, of course, one of the better teams when it comes to having that 3-0 potential, and you're seeing it right here, especially when they outclass a team so heavily.
Yeah, I mean, we highlighted Human Jesus in there. Well, dropped 30 kills. I mean, he was one of the only players on the team that was really up there slaying head-to-head with guys on Splyce as well. But that was also another thing that we brought up. Who was challenging Zero with the MV4? There was really nobody going head-to-head with him. He was finding himself in those power positions where when he's on that bridge, you're not going to get him off of it.
Yeah, and Hate had these moments with the MV4 where he was killing everybody but Zero, but Zero's still the main threat, so what are you going to do in that situation, right? So getting into the search and destroy is a very swift defeat, 6-1. There wasn't a whole lot that Lethal Gaming could do. They weren't getting their trades. Splyce continued to get the first bloods. Bance was a big threat, and Bance really is always a huge threat in search and destroy for this team.
Yeah, and we brought up one of the biggest things, too, is Splyce probably has a lot more experience playing breakout search and destroy, so the way that match went, we're not really surprised, right? Like we said, the only time that Lethal is ever going to be able to play that is going to be at home, maybe in tournaments if they're all playing together as well. But the only time you ever really see Breakout come in and tournament sites is just going to be when it's in 2Ks. And if you get there, a lot of the time it's set as a game 5. That's one of the only things we never really get to see it played. But Splyce, they've been in the Pro League, they've been playing in the 2Ks as well. They have a lot more experience than Lethal, so it completely makes sense as to why it went that way.
Yeah, they have the best practice in Breakout search and destroy, and you can kind of see it very clearly right here. I mean, Zero, 8-2, the best KD on Splyce, as you can see, and that's in stark contrast to what we saw from Hate, who did the best he could for Lethal, but it only amounted to 1 round win. And even once we got into I think the 3rd round win, where Splyce pretty much gave them a plant because they all hit the opposite site, Lethal Gaming still couldn't hold down Showers, right? Splyce came wrapping through all the way around, and on the rotation, they lost 1 player, and Lethal Gaming still couldn't make much of it, as Mad Cat and I believe Bance came through middle, and they still won that round and failed the retake. So Splyce really just kind of shutting them out there. They had the payload advantage, and that was pretty much a curtain call as we see it. So, again, it was just Splyce outclassing Lethal Gaming.
4.0 KD as well. I mean, Zero, he's been good at search and destroy, but I feel like the last couple events, this guy's been absolutely dominant. I feel like at Dallas is where we saw him really erupt. I think in the first couple search and destroys that we saw him play, he had a total of 24 kills just in the span of those 3 games as well. So he's a man who's not to be messed with in search and destroy. He's a guy that you need to try to shut down in any way, shape, or form, but it's hard to shut him down. There's the only thing I can think of, he doesn't run tack resist. I think from what we saw was just a blast shield and a dead silence as well. But that's the thing, we don't see teams make those on-the-fly adjustments. Okay, we get this call, this player's not using tack resist, let's bomb him with jammers. It can really start to phase them and then have them switch their class, drop that extra attachment on the gun as well too. But it's not something that we really see on the fly. You maybe get a call out, this player doesn't have tack, but they're like, we're not going to change, we're just going to keep it going as well.
So if it weren't already clear how dominant Splyce was, let's take a look at their scores again here in Uplink. Nearly doubling the score of Lethal Gaming, scoring a similar amount of points in both halves. So they were doing very well on both sides, and we're seeing Jerd here, 32 kills for his team, and the highest kill player on the side of Lethal Gaming was Human Jesus at 25. He was also contributing to the score. As you can see, he's got 3 points put on the board in Uplink, and I think someone else on his team had 7 towards the end. I want to say I want to say that it was Bance that had 7, but I could be mistaken. But either way, a lot of points are being scored, and they were being scored very quickly with very little response from Lethal Gaming and its representative in the box score here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. And you look at just a big differential of 9 to 8. If they didn't get those spawn traps going, if Lethal didn't allow themselves to get into that situation, it would have been such a much more closer game, because you take 4 points off of the 9 that they had, that's going to even it up at 5 apiece. And then with the relay that they had there, I believe they were able to get at least 1 dunk off it. So it would have been such a close game. It would have been very, very interesting. But with a team like Splyce and how they play and trying to get Mad Cat out of your base being a nuisance, as well as Jerd, there was just so much team communication going down. It was either Jerd has the drone and taking it out towards the construction, he passes it off and he starts slaying out as well. I mean, the kill column showed for it. It was just, you cannot get yourself an uplink into those sticky situations where you're going to be trying to fight from your spawn. You can't even overextend or wrap back to your base because they have every single line of sight covered.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say here. It was just Splyce being the better team, and especially in this series, it showed very clearly. So, guys, we're going to cut to a quick commercial break. We have United facing off against the open bracket team, and we're going to see you after this commercial break.